My name is Angela Abernathy Dean, and my audience today is Mac Dean. We're on our honeymoon, so he is the only audience member I have today, of course. Um, Mac, can you say hi?
Hello.
Okay. Today I would like to talk to you about something very important going on in our country, and it's practicing prayer in public schools. You probably heard this argument over the years and likely have an opinion on it. But if you will stay with me for a minute, I hope to give you a fresh perspective on this. For more than 5 decades, people have debated on the subject of religion in public schools. And this slide is just one of the 16th century when this war first started to begin. So, people have debated the subject of religion in public schools with neither party gaining or losing much ground. I believe a lot of times the issue regarding this inherent personal liberty stems from the inability and society sees them, the respective opinions and perspective of others. It's a true major concern of those in this conversation is that over the past decade, since the first was tested, our worldviews has expanded dramatically and is becoming increasingly difficult and equally to protect the rights of those who practice certain faiths. And that's from Desuro, page 79. However, I believe that for the future generations to reach their highest potential, we must offer them every opportunity to learn and to evolve and become better human beings. And here I just have a picture of children. And that's just a picture of like children with Jesus. And when you pray, we all know you pray to Jesus. So that's that. In my prayer life and access to religious education has had an overwhelming role in the ability to do just that. I feel it is unfair, for a lack of a better word, that a group of men in Washington, and I just want to put this up here for you real quick. Oh, there we go. The Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is who makes the decision on whether or not that prayer is in our public schools here in the United States. So I just wanted to display those for you. In my prayer life and access to religious education has had an overwhelming role in the ability to do just that. I felt it was unfair, for a lack of a better word, that a group of men in Washington have their final say in whether or not these children had the same chance as I did to explore Jesus during my childhood. To fully understand my point here, that this argument at the purest level is about the hearts of people. You must know that in conversation on the topics too often magnifies the legal side of the argument, citing court cases and debating what is and what isn't constitutional, erasing the human element, while evangelicals have in the past typical supported prayer in schools. Lack of alignment between denominations, including Catholics and Protestants. Opinions on how things should be done stand to interfere with their long-term goals, especially considering that the support from non-evangelicals only continue to rise. And that's from Squadell, page 262. And here I just different denominations, Protestants, Catholics, just a picture of their churches. On one hand, there is the non-sector approach of removing prayer completely. Sure, this would be easier than decades of ill ease we've had over the debate. Supporters of this theory shout out about the vulnerable nature of religion and the potential peer pressure children could face while dealing with this day-to-day basis inside the schools. And that's from Bach, page 243. However, keep in mind that children are required to go to school, but if this approach wants to leave, there are some basic rights outside the classroom. On the other hand, we have many different faiths who do not want their non-sect result from this debate. They want to keep prayer in schools. They're just worried that those prayers aren't going to get them the most gain. Time, basically, by Waters on page 1. I don't fully agree with either side, honestly. I believe too much time is spent in red tape and not enough attention and focus on the hearts of our children, whose rights are supposedly being fought for. Kids are curious. If they're going to have questions, they're going about faith, they're going to life, death, and everything in between. While they are still developing opinions such as important matters. And I just got kids playing, like they're at that age where they ask questions in school age. While they're still developing opinions on such important matters, it is our duty to give them all the access to religion, education. We are not fully serving them or our future of our country. Higher reasoning, logical thinking, emotional well-being, accountability, moral values, the list of benefits of allowing prayer in school is endless. A further argument given for the total removal of prayer and religion from schools in the public education exists that do not educate. Many people say that religion has no place in schools because it's not concrete. Public schools administrators are there to teach curriculum, and the concern is that the line is too fine to walk successfully. I believe that those educators should be informing their students about every possible hit on the spectrum of religion during public school hours, may be the only time when some children are exposed to the freedom regarding the subject. If they have questions or want to stop and say a prayer, I think they should be able to. And they should be also believe that they should be assisted if necessary. If they need help, teach them how to pray. And definitely not stand in their way. As I prepare to leave you, I want to remind you that even though we are not children anymore, we have the freedom to do what we want to do. This topic's basic right to religious freedom and expression is being denied to many who could benefit from it. I could stand here and tell you all day long that my prayer life has, on a daily basis, been consistent, but I can't prove that to you. There's no fancy stack of papers or no books with pretty pages. But I could whip out my life story and you'd say, "You're right, Angie, you're totally right, I get it." But because that's such an intimate and sensitive subject, I'm not going to do that for you today. I do believe that our children should have the option to pray if they want to. And if they don't have to. No one should be forced to participate, but no one should be punished and have that option removed either. And that's from Wiley on page 18. I hope sharing this alternative perspective to the age-old debate will make you stop and think for a moment about the future and the standards we are setting for the generations to come. Thank you so much. Have a great day and God bless.